Mayor, Board of Alderman, I have I guess it'd be a safety issue on the sewer line. I live on Winston Avenue, and there's a house in the community where I live that they have a city sewer tap out front, but they're not hooked up onto it. They don't have a septic tank out back. They have like just look like maybe a 50, maybe 7,500 gallon old water tank. It could be 1/8 inch in thickness and probably about 24 inches in diameter. It doesn't have a top on it, no lid on it, and I couldn't see a septic tank line coming off of it. And I know with this thing being open, it is putting off poison gases, what it's putting off. And we're getting hydrogen sulfide off of it, we're getting ammonia, we're getting methane off of it. And I just don't think it's safe for anybody in the community to be smelling this. Also, where this tank is located at and where the other fresh water runs into the Monteagle Lake, I feel like this water is also going into the Monteagle Lake. And this is, might be something we're either going to be drinking or I'm going to be smelling if we don't get it corrected. But I just wanted to see what the city's obligation is on whenever they've got a city sewer problem like this. And I've contacted TDEX on this, and TDEX said they'd come up and looked at it but couldn't find any problem. But I also contacted the city manager, and he is here. He came over and looked at it, and he did find the problem. John, you want to elaborate on what you saw over there, what you found?
Well, it's like Tony said, there's a plastic container in the ground. You can't tell what it is. It's under a piece of plywood. And I took a picture of it and sent it to TDEC, Angela. And then she sent this guy up to look at it. And he's supposed to come back tomorrow. He said he'd meet me at midday because he never did find nothing. So if he calls, I'll go over with him. But he's supposed to come up tomorrow and look at it.
Well, tomorrow, let's go over that tomorrow morning. We'll see what we have to do.
Do we have any rules or ordinances or anything like that that says if sewer is available that a customer has to connect to it?
Well, that's what I was thinking, because, the town of Monteagle received money for the sewer tap and water tap. They pay Monteagle their payments for the water and sewer tap. So, what's the regulation through the town of Monteagle? I mean, do they have any recourse on that?
I don't know at this time, but I'll research that.
If they have an approved system, TDEC can require them to hook on the sewer.
Yeah.
If you have an approved septic tank and fill line, you do not have to hook onto the system, but the town of Monteagle charges you for the sewer, just as though you were hooked onto it.
Right, for the water that would be used.
Yes.
But this here is not a sewer system with an inlet and an outlet baffle. It's just raw
Well,
sewer.
if TDEC does their job, they should require that that's an unapproved system and that they be required to hook on to the sewer system.
They would have so many days to do that.
Yeah, and typically,
Everything.
they've had the option to put in an approved system as well, but typically it's cheaper to connect to the sewer than it is to put in a septic. So we would hope that that's what they get.
And it serves an occupied, excuse me, it serves an occupied house?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
but thank you, and I just wanted to, see if anything else we can do.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Any other citizen wish to be heard? Yes?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to know if the city has an ordinance for noise as far as loud mufflers in trucks and cars. Is there not a city ordinance?
I believe there is.
Okay, well, there's several trucks in town. One of them is actually next door to my building on Main. The red truck, it's extremely loud, and I know that the fire department can hear it because it's right across the street from them, but he drives up and down and it's very loud. That's the first thing. The second thing is the fence that's been put up on Main. I just wondered, is there anything that can be done about that? Is it all legal? I know it's difficult seeing when you're pulling out onto the highway to the right. It totally blocks my business. You won't even see my business until you get right in front of it. And so I just wondered if there's any comments. Thank you.
Thank you. To address that, and I understand there's been a lot of conversation on Facebook. I am not on Facebook, but I've heard reports. I think we will be reviewing the ordinance. I've been speaking to Travis Lawyer, who's been in touch with the owner, and I will be in touch with the owner, and we'll see what has to be done to remediate the problem. The ordinance, as I recall, addresses heights of the fence above a certain height. This does not meet that requirement, so we'll talk to the owner and see what we can do to solve that problem.
Travis, are you aware of this situation?
I am. You want me to talk?
Please.
Talk about it. So there's a loophole in our ordinances, again, that we found in this ordinance that has the loophole in it. We're aware of it. So unfortunately, I'm the guy that told him to put that fence up. It's me. And the reason I told him that is because this building was served 7 months ago and it was found that he was non-conforming with the city ordinances. So if he was non-conforming and living in a commercial building, he wanted a fence around his yard, so I was holding him to some kind of standard which would fall into residential for fencing. So the only thing that he's not compliant on is 50% opacities on the front. But I need to talk to that board up there, and the gentleman that put the fence up is willing to sit down and talk to that board too. So I mean, he's very compliant, and we need to adjust our ordinances.
Yeah,
That's
this
all I
is,
got.
Is it, you're classifying that a residential fence or a security fence?
It's actually, I mean, it's not a privacy fence. I know that's what it looks like to everybody, but the initial complaint to the boy when he come and asked me about his fence, there was neighbors that was driving across his property and parking, and when the barbecue house was next door there, now he's concerned that there's a Mexican restaurant going in and they're going to park on his property again, and I mean, he's just trying to protect his property. I don't blame the kid. We just have to figure out how to work with him.
Well, and historically, those were valid points. I parked there when there was no more room at Up in Smoke,
Yes.
and I have seen people cut that corner to avoid the stop sign.
Yeah.
So, good, bad, or medium, those are two valid points.
Well, just for the record, if it's a security fence, the ordinance reads, the primary purpose of a security fence is to restrict access to a structure or area of property. In general, security fences required by this ordinance shall have a height of between 6 and 10 feet. Opacity requirements shall be determined by the Planning Commission based upon safety considerations and the need to screen the interior area. Materials may include but shall not be limited to brick, wrought iron, aluminum, wood, vinyl, and chain link fencing. Chain link fencing visible from the public right-of-way in a C1, C2, or C3 district shall have a vinyl or similar coating which is black, dark green, or other color approved by the Planning Commission.
That's right.
And then you have pool fences, which that doesn't apply. You have screening fences, which is for projects
Right.
such as RBT that we've been through before. And then you have residential fences in residential areas.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other citizens?
What about the fact that he's got a sign up that it's a business, but he says he's a resident?
So I just found out more about that on all this because he still says that he's using the front of the business as a warehousing. He sells online. I told him he didn't have a valid business permit with the city. He's going to fill that out and do that. I learned a lot on this one.
but if he's operating as a commercial business, then he needs to leave that fencing down for parking because we have parking
I
requirements.
agree, and that's what I told
I
him.
don't know if his internet based.
And I questioned even mixed use, you know, where he's living in the building. I just don't know where to go with this.
I mean, we were talking about it earlier today. The 2016 zoning ordinance that we've got, and we're thankfully working through and trying to fix, is got a little bit of cut and paste in it. So as Dean read, we do a good job of defining fences, but most zoning ordinance also say where those fences should go, and we just seem to be missing that section of the ordinance. We have it in there for residential, but not in there for commercial, and
Well, the screening would be, on the screening fence is primarily commercial.
well, and it's
When it abuts a R1, R2, or R3.
yeah, it meets the definition for a screening fence, and we were talking about that. He's saying it's for security, but it doesn't meet our definition for security fencing. It meets our definition for screening fence.
Is this something that Imagine Monteagle and those subcommittees are addressing?
Well, we're working right now, and I'll talk about this in the Alderman
Yeah.
report. We're working through that C1 zoning right now.
That's what I thought. Thank you. Any other citizen wish to be heard at this time?
Mayor, can I just make a comment on this? So there's been, just so everybody knows, there's been a lot of discussion amongst the council and the city, the planning commission and Travis on this issue. I know it's been hot on social media and everything else. I would just like to ask everybody and let everybody know that we are working on this. We're trying to figure out the right way to approach this. We're paying for the past sins of our ordinances that we're still trying, that Nate's going to address, we're trying to correct. I would just kind of say, these people have been very cooperative. They are willing to sit down. They are willing to come to the table and say what's going to be the best for the city and all. So let's kind of lay off on trashing them. The fence looks awful, I'll agree with you. It looks like terrible. It's not what we want on the front of our main street and stuff, but we are working on it. We're addressing it. Give us a chance to do that, but these people have been very cooperative. They may have bad taste in fences, but they are very cooperative. So let's everybody just to kind of take a breath. And I would recommend, Mayor, that we have a workshop hopefully next week so that we can sit down. I would recommend we have a couple people, at least from the Planning Commission, join us. And let's sort through this and figure out how we're going to address this with which part of the regulations that apply and come to a good compromise with the landowners.
I want to add to Grant, sorry, Mayor. if I
No, go
could.
ahead.
You know, you get on social media and we all sit in this room and I'm kind of like Grant, I wouldn't put that fence around my commercial business in downtown. It just doesn't fit, right? But there's opinions and then there's the ordinance and the code. And our opinion really doesn't matter as long as it complies with the ordinance and code, unfortunately. So even though we all may not like it, that ordinance and code has to say it or we're going to live with it. That's the only way. I mean, I'm just trying to be fair with it. And right now, I don't really have a reason to go tell them to take the fence down. We got to adjust that, so. Anyway.
Is there an official vote tally on the Facebook?
I don't know. I don't know.
It is.
I asked the kid today, I asked the guy today, I don't want to call him a kid, I asked the guy today that, you know, I'm not writing a stop work order because International Building Code specifies if you got a fence of 7 feet or greater, you pull a permit. That fence is at 7 feet on the materials. So right around 7 feet. So there's no permit. So I verbally asked him, I said, can we issue a stop work order verbally to you? And would you comply? And he said, absolutely. So, I mean, he's done. He's not building, he's not adding to it, but I told him not to take his fence down either. I'm not asking you to take your fence down. I'm asking you to sit down with the mayor and alderman and let's discuss a feasible solution. So, there's my report on the council.
Don't talk to me anyway.
Please. Deborah, did you have something?
Yeah, my first question didn't get answered about the noise ordinance.
So our noise ordinance calls for continuous airborne sound, which has a sound level of 60 or 60 decibels. And that's between the hours of 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. So the problem with enforcement is you really have to you have to be able to measure it, and this is intended for buildings. So there is in the motor vehicle code a separate section that involves having aftermarket equipment, and so that's where probably the Chief Rayline can speak more to that about how that works. But our noise ordinance is set up for like bars operating after hours and that sort of thing. So it's hard to catch a moving vehicle with our noise ordinance.
All you gotta do is hearing started up. That's all you gotta do, and it's over 60 decibels.
Well, we live in a small town, still got little hot rod vehicles and everything on computer chips and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a record sitting outside, it's got the same thing. Low max exhaust, big block Chevrolet.
I know, but you're commercial, this is a local truck that starts up and it's so loud.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
If we can continue the meeting, please, without cross-conversation. We will look into it, I will look into it with the police chief and review the ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor.
Martha Ann?
To change the subject. This isn't working, is it? To
Should
change
be.
the subject, I would like the mayor and aldermen to think about looking into solar for the city, maybe some research type things, I don't know, but I'd like us to look into solar.
So we did look into that. About 3 years ago, there was a grant available for municipalities that wanted to get involved in utility grid solar. And our thought was behind the sewer plant, there's a bunch of open space there. And there's enough space there, and there's a TVA line right out in front. I reached out to TVA, and there's not enough capacity on the line to do it there. And in order to make it work at scale, it needs to be fairly large. And the only other location we looked at was right at the convenience center. Might have enough, but it doesn't have access to a good service line. So there really isn't a good place for us to do it at the scale that makes it cost effective. Mike Parton and I had several calls on that. It would have been 2 or 3 years ago.
Well, things are changing in that there are small ways, using small things to help with far lines or whatever. I mean, apartment buildings are using them.
In 2028, and this is, TVA is going to abandon the connection between Swanee and Monteagle. They're putting a new feed up from Cowan to serve Swanee, and that'll drop back to Duck River. And so there might be capacity on it at that point. But you really got to have a good scale to make it cost effective.
Okay, thank you. Any other citizens wish to be heard?
Good evening, everyone. Just an update. I wanted to refresh you where I'm at. It's here. My name is Paul Fantuzzi, and I own the property on Parker, 26 Parker, and the adjacent land around it. I'm attempting to build the 10 houses there. The background to it, again, we've been going on since July of 2024, trying to find out if those lots are buildable. We came to a water line issue. That's a long story, I won't get into it. And so TDEC has been involved, as well as Travis Wilson has been involved. I've been told that TDEC okayed Travis Wilson's opinion and points. And I would just like to open up the discussion. I don't know if it's on the agenda tonight to discuss it, but I'd like to open up that discussion of what is the progress and what is happening with my 10 properties that have been sitting there for now 13 months. Thank you.
Okay, well, TDEC hasn't been involved for 13 months. We finally got some direction and guidance from there, and I think the alderman and I, with the meeting with you, can get together and see what our next step is, and sooner rather than later. And I think that should be discussed and looked at, because you have the TDEC report, we have the TDEC report, and we just have to find a solution.
Is that something that happens at a meeting like this month, or?
I'd probably schedule a workshop and then formalize it at a meeting of the mayor and aldermen like this.
Okay, because, again, time is of the essence. I've been on that project for
Yes.
quite a while, so.
Understood.
Trying to get that accomplished and such, as well as, the planning in December of '24 okayed it, and then here we stand, it's now going into September of '25, and we're still at no point of pushing forward.
Understood.
So, okay,
Thank you. I'll keep you apprised.
Sir, your project on Laurel Trails Road, it's green line,
That is set, yes.
so there's no issues?
No issues on that, no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other citizens wish to be heard? Okay, then I'll go to my comments. Dan, thank you for mentioning Sergeant Voss in your prayer this evening. He passed away at the timely age of 53. He was highly trained, a dedicated professional that served his country through the United States Marine Corps and was a sergeant on our police force. So he contributed a lot, especially in drug trafficking, and he was a vital force. So we mourn his passing, and we ask that you keep his family in your thoughts and prayers. Other comments, as you may suspect, we're closed next Monday, Labor Day. We'll be having a September 11th observance, very brief, less than a half hour probably, just to commemorate the day. No speeches or ceremonies other than perhaps reading of the timeline. You should know Ed Provost, who was a past chairman and a member of the Planning Commission has stepped down for personal reasons, so I want to make you aware of that. And I've been trying to get a program together for the seniors through Southeast Tennessee Development, and they have sent a representative up here every day trying to reach out to the different groups and organizations and how to reach seniors and shut-ins and anyone that needs our help. And I refer to the messenger on page 6 of the August 22nd issue. Our mobile health unit is specially equipped vehicle designed to bring healthcare services to older adults and caregivers in rural communities. The article goes on, but we do have it. It comes here the second Thursday, I believe it is, of every month. If we can get the word out to the people to come, it's a free service, and it's something that we feel would help the seniors with any questions they may have. They're trained medical people that are in there, and I think it's important that if there are seniors that need any kind of help, they reach out, especially to this group that specializes this from Southeast Tennessee Development, and see if we can help our senior citizens. So I want to pass that on to you. I think it's important that we do that. For those that asked about the agenda, I understand the agenda is on the website. We all wanted a website. We have a website. I just hope people are using it. And if there's an issue, call City Hall and find out or let us know if there are any problems with it, and we'll try to correct it. But to communicate is wonderful, and Facebook, we have a town Facebook page, and we have a website, and we're combining emails to reach as many people as possible. But if you don't use the media, then we can't reach you. So I would ask that you use the website and pass the word on to those that are not here. That concludes my communications for now. Calendar events I gave you, closed Labor Day, September 11th observance. The next meeting will be September 29th in this room. There'll be workshops scheduled based on the comments and requests this evening, and we'll keep you posted on those. So, Police Department, your report?
Good afternoon, citizens, Alderman. Got a few things to go over. First of all, I'll go over the monthly stats. I'm just going to go down the line here of ones that we actually did something with. We got 2 DUIs. This is going to be from July 15th to August 15th. So as you can see, we go down here, we got 2 DUIs for the month. We had 27 walk-ins to the PD, and basically that could range from wanting to do a theft report to wanting to report their dog missing. So we had 27 of those. We had 3 domestic calls. We had 2 drug-related calls. We did 125 business checks. So basically, what that means is night patrol checks the businesses. So they did 125 of those. I was pretty pleased with that. We did have 1 theft out of a storage facility. We had written 8 citations for the month, 41 warnings. Total number of calls for the month was 382, which as you can see was up from last month, 352. I'm just going to assume that means people were coming home from vacation, so more people to call. Vehicle crashes, we were down 1. It's still going down, so I was pretty pleased with that. 2 of those were what we call a 1046. They were wreck with injuries. Luckily, both parties survived. Those on 2 different occasions. And we did a total of 47 traffic stops for the month. So that's the numbers there. I've got 3 things that I do want. Well, first of all, Ms. Deborah, I want to go back to what you said. We have written several citations for ordinance for loud vehicles after 9 o'clock. And yes, we can hear that they probably are over the decimal point, but unless I actually have the actual machine that's actually going to measure it, I can't cite someone into court for what I think, because then I could put us into a lawsuit. However, what I can do is pull a vehicle over and check to see if it's been altered. Like you've got some of these Corvettes now, they've got this particular button they can push, it makes it even louder. So we can write citations for that. That goes into civil court, and then the judge will decide what to do with that. But decimal readers will be something that we probably could get down the road so that we could mitigate that in the future a little bit better than we are now. So, I don't know if that helps you or not.
Are they expensive?
They're not cheap, but they're not expensive. But like I said, there's other things I got to get, like radars and things of that nature. So that will go on the list of things that would help benefit the town of Monteagle. Okay. So I got 3 other things that I'm going to go over. One of which the board and the citizens have addressed already, and it's our fence. If you just bear with me, I've had several calls and messages concerning the new fence at the chiropractic / house on Main Street over the weekend. I understand some consider it to be an eyesore. Another concern is that it restricts the view of the stop sign. I had my sergeant go down this morning, and it does not restrict the actual stop sign itself. Now, as far as any other businesses, I wasn't looking for that. I was just looking particularly for the stop sign, so you can see the stop sign from one end to the other. So any other, as far as any other ordinance issues, I would just refer that to the ordinance department, which I spoke with earlier this afternoon. So now, Monteagle is a town of some of the greatest people I have had the pleasure of meeting and personally knowing. The owners of the location, of this particular location, they filed a report this morning of harassment and some being very unsettling threats made to them via in person and on social media. Monteagle's got some great citizens here, and I know we get upset sometimes, and sometimes we say things that we may not mean. However, I'm going to read a TCA, hopefully that will keep people from saying things that could get someone in trouble. So this TCA is 3917-309. It's a Civil Rights Intimidation. It's a Civil Rights Intimidation Act, okay? I'm just going to paraphrase it. If anyone wants to go look, it's pretty lengthy. But the gist of it is a person commits the offense of intimidation of others from exercising civil rights if the injury or threaten to injure another person with the intent to unlawfully intimidate them, regardless of their race, color, ancestry, religion, or national origin, from intimidation, harassment, or bodily injury. This, point blank, one of the complaints that they had, someone had came to them and said, I'll run you over in your blank, blank, blank. I'll run your fence over in your blank, blank, blank. You fill in the blanks, okay? So I don't want to, there's a lot of really bad words that are in there, okay? So the reason I say that is we do get mad sometimes. We do get upset. Just remember, if anything gets recorded, if there's videos, if there's ring cameras, and someone files a police report, I've got to follow up with that. Okay, so the thing I don't know anymore, it kind of doesn't help you in court. So that's the only reason I bring this up. Okay, I don't think there was any ill intent. However, they believe there was. So that's why they filed a report. Okay, so we've got that there. The other thing I want to go over is the big topic of tow policy. Does Monteagle have a towing policy? We actually do have a towing policy. And we revised that towing policy. Believe it or not. And I'm going to go over some of the things here. Monteagle has one legit towing company. That's I-24. The only one in Monteagle. We have another one. He's right outside Monteagle, but he's in the county. Everyone else is in the county. We have 6 people on the rotation, okay? The reason you have 6 people on rotation, just in case you can't get someone out there in a timely manner, right? What is a timely manner? Well, if I'm sitting out there for an hour and 30 minutes, it's untimely, right? So that's why we updated our policy, which I have here if you guys want to see it. The policy basically states we now put a manner that we feel is timely. I think 45 minutes is a good timely manner. You get woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning, you get a call to have to be in Monteagle. I figure 45 minutes is a good, responsible time to get to Monteagle. And there's multiple factors that we don't want an officer sitting on the side of the road for a long period of time because 1, it's a danger to have them sit on the side of the road. 2, We obviously don't want the person broke down sitting on the side of the road, you know, for 45 minutes to an hour or longer. So if we have to take that person off the rotation, then we ask for the next person. So that total person goes on the bottom. Okay? Our policy is, and I'm being made it known now, and I'll reach out to each of these individual companies, that if for some reason we call you 3 different times, not on the same day, but 3 different dates, and you don't show up to Monteagle, you'll be taken off the list. I think it's pretty fair, right? The 911 dispatch center, they keep that log. Any one of you aldermen can go and ask for the log. They will show it to you. They'll show you who responds and who doesn't respond. I'm not going to go over here today and say who doesn't show up and who does show up. Now, what would I like to see in the future as far as tow policy goes? If we can get 1 or 2 people that are local, that can commit, that they can serve the citizen of Monteagle 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, then I would be open to having 2 people on the call list. But right now, we don't have that. 24 towing, he's great. When we call him, he's great. He can do 18-wheelers. He can also do vans, cars, you name it. He's only one guy. If he had 5 guys working for him, I'd say, hey, 24 towing, let's do it. Or cripple hooker. Or maybe they can team up, right? But right now, we don't have that luxury. I've got to get the people off the road in a timely manner. So if we can get that to happen, and we can get the assurances that, yes, the citizens will be taken care of, then we'll make it happen. But until then, the policy stays the same.
I have a question about that.
I got a question, too.
Yes. Go.
So are your officers then calling the wrecker, or is dispatch calling the wrecker?
So this is what happens. So let's say Greg Maloof's on the side of the road, Mayor Maloof's on the side of the road. We say, do you have a desired person to come pick you up? He says, nope. We say, call it, do you want someone local? And if they say yes, we'll give you 10 minutes to look up someone local in Monteagle. If not, it's the next schedule. So that's how we do it. I can't say, hey, I need you to call Cripple Hooker, or I can't say, I need you to call 24 Towing, or I need you to call Allison, because that's not fair to them. But what we can say is, want someone local, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes. When I come back, I'm calling the next schedule.
And but I think the question, you want to go ahead, Rodney?
No, go ahead.
The question that has been asked over and over that I have not been clear on until just recently is whether or not there's a Monteagle specific list, or whether we operate off a county list and off a state list. And so I called Don Hutchison at 911 Center, and he was able to confirm that there is no city list. There is just a county list and a state list. And so,
Not to interrupt, we have city and county on the list. Do you know of more than one city person that can do the business for us? I don't.
no, I'm just looking for clarity. So it sounds like, so when that happens and you call for dispatch, they're pulling off that county list. So there really isn't.
They're pulling off the list that they have in dispatch for Monteagle. Monteagle's got my 6 people that are on there. And that's who they're supposed to be going through, the 6 people. Now, whether or not they're doing that, I don't know.
So according to Don, they're not. They have a county.
Okay.
They have a county list and they have a state list. Don said he's totally open to a city list. He said Heather Smart would make that final call, and I have not had a chance yet to call Heather.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as he's aware, there isn't a city list at this point. And from my standpoint, I think it's about service rather than municipal boundaries. So I think it makes sense for us, both for your officers' time and for our citizens' time, to have a list that has a reasonable proximity to Monteagle, but may not exactly be Monteagle. And I think that's a reasonable way to go. I guess I had misunderstood before, because I thought there was a Monteagle specific list.
So at my office at the PD, I have to keep a file for the case the state comes in. And in my file, I've only got 6 people in my file that I've got their insurance information, their bonding, and their license. So there's only 6 people in my book. So that's who I assumed they were calling.
So that
was those 6 people.
Okay, so we need to get with, and I'm happy, I'll call Heather tomorrow, but it sounds like we need to make sure that they have that list, and when a Monteagle officer responds, that they're working off that, because
Right.
Don did not think that's what was happening right
Thank you.
now.
I think the chief can handle that tomorrow with Heather.
No, I can, yeah, I'll get with Heather tomorrow.
Just take care of that.
Yeah, it's not a big
That's
deal.
fine. Thank you.
I got a question.
Go ahead, Rodney. My bad, sorry.
I was on a city list for years here, and I got involved in a deal with a highway patrol. So the city here took me off the list. And I went and talked to him about it. He said, bring your stuff up there and I'll put you back on the list.
Correct.
I ain't had time for that. If y'all want to know some guidelines about all this, y'all need to go back and look at South Pittsburgh. They got in trouble with this, and it cost them a lot of money. It's gotten a big lawsuit. You've got to have a city list and a county list. Before you run a record in this city, you got to have a business in this city, you got to have a city license. Well, this is the way it's supposed to be. Have your city license here, you're supposed to have your MC number, anything over 8,000 pounds, supposed to have an MC number on the side or a DOT number. They done away with the MC, now they got the D to have a commercial business. So there's a lot of factors here. That's the reason I ain't never been put on I ain't took my stuff down and put on the list, because everybody's got to do what's right. Get in a ball game, make everybody equal, make everybody buy the
That's right.
same stuff, and buy the same. You know what I'm saying?
Chief, if you could research that and look into
If
something.
y'all want to research stuff, y'all looked in South Pittsburgh, that got them in a lot of trouble using people outside the city limits. You know what I mean? And it was some of my buddies went down there and tried to scam some people, get more calls. I think you should be in the city limits, have your business in the city limits, buy your city permit here, and play by the city rules.
Okay,
I mean,
thank you. Anything else?
Yes. Yes. All right, another topic is, and I know we're gonna have a meeting over this, I'm assuming in the future, but it's brought up several times. What's considered overtime through the police department? What is considered overtime, okay? I don't have a specific line item for overtime for one like some other departments may do. It's just a big line item for budget, for payroll, okay? But what do we put underneath there? So it's gonna be obviously court, whether it's traffic court or criminal court. And those hours can range between 4 hours and 8 hours. They may sit there for 8 hours and then have to be called back in the next court date, okay? The other one's gonna be special events, parades, department meetings, filling in for other officers due to illness, vacation, or vacancies. And I kind of broke this down a little bit to describe which court does not need to have a description. We know what court is. Special events, what would that be? Any event that we hold at the park, like we did this past year with the police department, fire department. Obviously, that's going to be some overtime involved there. Any city hall meeting that you guys might need us up here for. We haven't had any yet, but we may in the future. That's what would be used. Or any other social event that we may need to be used for, that would go under overtime, okay? So, the other one is training. We're mandated to do 40 hours of training each year. You know, we have 8 hours of firearms instruction. We've got our firearms and things of that nature. So, that'll fall underneath that as far as that goes. And then, of course, we've got the 4th of July parade, Christmas parade, and then, of course, trunk or treat. All those are involved in that as well. So, and then, of course, if you're short an officer or two, then you've got to pick up shifts. So that's where we, as far as the police department, would spend that money.
Well, we'll be looking at that at a workshop, as I've said several times in the past, so thank you for that. Anything else for your report?
My report's done. Any questions?
Okay, any questions from the Alderman? Thank you. Fire department?
I have a question. Back a couple of years ago, we budgeted for you to get 1 or 2 police cars. Did you ever get those? I noticed in new business,
Yeah, we'll discuss that under new business.
I know, but when we were on council, we budgeted for police cars.
Yeah.
Did they ever get those?
Yes.
Yeah, we got police.
Okay.
Police car.
Okay, did I?
Thank you.
just hear
Fire
that?
department?
Can I ask him another question?
No.
No?
No, it's not a question to answer, period. If there's a question on the report, that's one thing, but Wait, is it about the report?
I just heard you didn't have radar, and I just wanted to know. I'm sorry.
How what?
Radar.
Radars. We do not.
Okay, thank you. Is the fire department here?
I guess it was.
Okay,
Good evening.
Public ought to be able to say anything they want to say.
well,
We budgeted to get the radars recalibrated last year.
we have a time for citizen comments. After that, the reports from the various department heads are presented. If there are questions after that, certainly contact us tomorrow and we'll get information. Let's proceed with the meeting.
Fire department responded to 24 calls for the month. The frontline engine was broken down with computer failure. It's been down for about 3 or 4 weeks. Brindley Mountain come and serviced it. That's before we bought that truck. So Brindley come and serviced it 5 different times. For diagnosis and repairs, it was the ECM that was out of it. So that's been taken care of. Monthly training like usual. We also received a new hydrant repair tool we bought out of budget. That allows us to disassemble the hydrant while it's in the ground and actually rebuild it and put new seals and stuff in it. So that's about all I've got with fire department. Still nothing on the ladder truck. Nothing.
I'm not asking.
Our CDBG grant, everything's in besides 2 trucks. We're waiting on 2 trucks to come from Wilson County. This is not in your report, I'm just talking, but as soon as those 2 trucks, hopefully within the next 2 weeks is what they're telling me. That'll let us conclude that grant and close out. So I just got that after press time on this.
Okay,
Any other questions on fire?
okay, go ahead with building.
Building codes, there's 4 building inspections, 1 cert of occupancy has been completed. The Mountain Inn's been served for condemnation, and that 30 days on that service will be August the 28th. So after August 28th, I'll take action and cite them to city court, and we'll have to explain why the building's not been renovated or demoed, whatever they choose to do.
Travis was sort of real fast on that. Were they informed that they did not pass for the
Yeah, I did. I informed them, yes.
the PZA?
Yes. 1 permit's been issued for building inspections. And 2 residential condemnations been served throughout the town, and I also have 2 more in progress. So I'm at with that.
These are homes that are out
These are
of,
residential homes. One of those homes is occupied, and this is another, we'll cover it later, but the fellow doesn't have nowhere to go, and I'm not gonna kick him out on the streets, but his house is dilapidated and fallen in. So we'll have to figure that out when we get there.
well, I know there's a group, Kyle Collins is doing a good job of organizing some volunteers. Is it something where we could get involved?
Yes,
'Cause
that's on the list.
Okay.
The fellow has nobody. I feel pretty sorry.
When you said we're going to talk about it later in this
Yeah,
meeting,
we'll
or we're going to talk about it offline?
We'll have a workshop. When we sit down in our workshop, that's one of the other things on my notes to bring up. So.
Okay.
Valentine also.
Okay. Is there any other questions for building department? Is that it? AJ, ordinance?
So for our codes enforcement, we've got 4 residential violations that have been served. They're awaiting remediation right now. With that, we've had 2 that's tempted with no contact. We're going to mail them out, certified mail with return. 2 residential services from last month have been satisfied. Those was grass related with grass and weeds growing up. And the 4th Street residence we've been talking about for the past few months, and that's been served again. It's got a 30-day time period. Once that's up, we'll do a citation to city court. So far, they're making some progress towards the violation.
And you're following that up?
Yep. The follow-up with that will lead to either we'll close it or we'll come to city court.
Any questions on ordinance?
So I'm continuing to get complaints from residents in Campbell subdivision about the person building the buildings out there blocking the roads. And they actually called me out one day, and I drove out there, and the road was completely shut down. And I called the mayor to see if they'd had a permit to shut the road down. Apparently, the road was shut down all day. So has there been any further contact with them? Travis, you're nodding.
Yeah, so that day, actually, there was a call put into City Hall. There was some communication glitch there, but there was actually, Sequatchie Valley had shut the road down to pull service to one of his new builds, and he made like 2-day reservations to close the road down. And I think he also called Chief. I don't want to put Rayline on the spot, but we were notified. And nobody
Okay.
passed it on.
So
There's been some other issues with it. That's another guy that's very, whatever he can do, he's very compliant. So I think it's just communications.
Okay, well, and I know that anytime, we want to see houses built, but we want to make sure that the same complaint is saying that they're getting nails in tires and that the road's not being clean. And I know Dean and I were talking, apparently there's been some similar complaints in other parts of the neighborhood. So we just want to try to make that balance. We want to grow, but we want to.
Well, for the record, to put your mind at ease, I went out that very day and met with people and we clarified the situation. And there had been contact, as Travis outlined. So
Great.
thank you. Street Department, any?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. Utility Manager?
I don't have anything.
Any questions from Alderman on streets or utility?
On utilities, on the monthly report there, I always ask Grant to interpret those numbers. They're too small for me to see. But it looked like for the month of July that our discharge was well within the permit, if I read it right. Can somebody that can see those numbers tell us?
They actually appear to be scanned backwards. I don't know that they're readable.
Well, no wonder I couldn't see it.
No, they're right. I'm backwards.
Well, that's under.
Not the first time, huh?
But it seemed like there was,
You're talking about phosphorus, right?
I was talking about the total discharge, our limits on, like we're at supposedly 250,000 gallons a day at that point. And it looked like it was, for the month, it was gonna average out about 200, somewhere close to that. It was, 3-4 million gallons for the month, and it showed the rainfall is about 3 inches or whatever. We were told that the phosphorus problem is going to have to be dealt with by sludge removal, is what we were told. Are we making any progress on that?
John? He's you the one that would know about that. On sludge removal, that Travis was telling us we've got to remove that sludge more frequently to get our phosphorus numbers down.
I actually talked to the guys at the plant the other day, and they said that phosphorus has been under control for a while now. They're just waiting for that. It's a 12-month rolling cycle aggregate that we go with TDEC. And so far for the last, I think it's been 7 months or something, that they've been, maybe less than that, but they've been good on the phosphorus. So they feel like they've tackled what they need to tackle with it. We're just still waiting for that 12-month cycle to hit so they can, which may be hit. Actually, I think they're only a couple months away from being able to get that and getting taken off the watch list.
Well, I think we would be well in getting TAUD to come up. I've been wanting to talk with them about our permit and then go over a permit and explain that to me as well. But it seems like our engineer keeps harping about the phosphorus thing and wanting to do testing, and that's the reoccurring thing. Specifically, he said, because the sludge is recirculating with that phosphorus in it. And I know nothing about it, but it seems like there's two different stories are coming out about the phosphorus problem. And I would like to see us use TAUD, which is no cost to us, and let them hear an explanation from them, and see if we need to continue to attack the sludge on a more rotation. Is it like $13,000 a trip, Mayor, or something like that?
It's more than that, and I've made arrangements to have the sludge removed twice a year instead of once a year. The work that the engineer is doing is as part of the consent order that we were under from a prior administration. So we're working on that as well through TDEC.
But he specifically says it's still a problem, the other day when I asked him.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that you had asked him, but I will look into that. I think that what the grant reported, the plant operators say that the numbers are in better shape than they have been, and I think I made a difference to some extent as phase 1. We're looking at phase 2, but I will check on the phosphorus and Travis's updated report.
And can we get a meeting with TAUD?
Yes, as soon as I can schedule one.
Okay. On the sewer side first, and then the person on the water plant after that.
Okay.
Thank you.
John, how's I&I looking? We've been having a lot of pretty intense rainstorms. We just spent several $1 million on I&I, and I know that Tracy.
You look at the flows and tell where the rain and the flows on the plant?
Yeah, so do you know right off, I think you have a separate report that does as a percentage, don't you? That you or Deb, one turns in. I'm just curious to know, again, Travis is wanting us to install these flow meters, which I think is a good thing, but it seems like we've had enough rain, we ought to have a pretty good sense of how that's working. But you don't know right off what those numbers are.
Okay, any other questions?
I've looked at these numbers. I didn't look at them this month because I got tired of looking at the spreadsheet, but I've looked at the numbers like the last 3 months, so we've 4 months or so, and they're significantly different than they were before the I&I project. And I think you may have been gone that meeting that I told everybody, hey, what the money that was spent on that is paying off because it is reducing our inflows and taking some pressure off of the plant. Excited about the phase 2, which will do even more. But I think if you look at the data over the numbers over the last 6 months, you'll see 5 months. You'll notice that it's helped. The I&I has really helped produce, especially with the wet summer that we've had this year.
Yeah, we've had some intense rains.
Yes. Any other comments for the utility report? Okay. Planning Commission will not be meeting in September because nothing has been submitted for them to review. So there was nothing on the agenda, so there will not be a Planning Commission meeting. Beautification and Tree Board, is there a report?
Just have one. Just one thing to report, the grant that we requested through the T-Mobile hometown grant we did not get it. Found out that Jasper got it for something totally different from what we were looking at, so I'm gonna try and see what they did.
And we did get the tree planting grant reinstated from the state, so I just updated the grant parameters. So starting in February, the state's going to be buying us some trees and some grass and going to help us do some beautification in several locations in town. So that's exciting.
Any questions for beautification? Nate, you want to imagine Monteagle?
Well, I'll let Grant, who's graciously taken over as the chair of that.
Grant, you want to imagine Monteagle?
Sure.
Thank you.
There's not much. We've been, we met sometime in July at the last time. I asked for beautification and tourism to submit to us their priorities, their top 3 to 5 priorities, projects for the year, and I'm sorting through. I gave them to the steering committee folks, and I'm waiting on some feedback from them on what they feel about the priorities and what their initial opinion is of whether it should be city funded, grant funded, or fundraising funded. So I'm waiting for some of that to come back. I've gotten a response back from about three or so people on the steering committee. What I plan to do is at next month's meeting, I will bring forward those priorities to talk about the city, talk to it with the city. In the meantime, I will be talking to our grant writer to find out, have her do some research about grants that may be applicable to those particular projects. And then, so I'll bring it to the city council in September with a couple of ideas, and we can decide and vote whether we feel like it's worthy of city money or whether it's worthy of the city matching a match for a particular grant if we can find one that suits that project. So that's just a long way to say we're hoping that we can get the funding ready to kick off some of the initiatives from the Imagine Monteagle group and the subcommittees. We've also kind of landed, I believe, on, Martha Ann, I have not shared this with you yet. I think we've landed on the logo that we've been working on for tourism and for Imagine Monteagle, and potentially even maybe for the city to adopt as their logo for letterhead and other things. I'll be presenting that next month to the city for their adoption of it being like a logo for the city and potentially for letterhead and things like that. I don't believe, I'm asking a question, I don't believe that the city council needs to approve the logo that the Imagine Monteagle people put together for Imagine Monteagle events or initiatives or for tourism or for beautification.
I wouldn't think so.
Is there an
I don't think that's a
expense?
city council thing.
Is there an expense?
No. I'm paying the expense.
Then I would say for information only,
Okay.
your final decisions.
Then I will let you guys see it real quick. Hey, looky here. This is the start of it anyway. This is kind of what we're landing on from a corporate standpoint, and then we've got a badge too that'll be put on certain banners. We can do T-shirts. There's going to be a lot of different opportunities to use it. I'll bring the corporate part of it to the council next week. But
You send me a digital copy too, I can stick it up there next month.
yeah. So I'm gonna talk to Aaron over at Big A and get them to kind of finalize this. And once I get Martha, I've already talked to Iva, I'll get Martha's approval on it too. But I think we're ready to move forward. That's kind of it for Imagine Monteagle, other than to say that Imagine Monteagle has we have a lot of things, initiatives going on in tandem. What Nate's going to talk about in a minute is getting some of our ordinances worked out and cleaned up and all. And there's been some comments on social media about that fence not being Imagine Monteagle, and if that's what Imagine Monteagle is, we don't want to imagine anymore. I'll just tell you that is not what we envision for Monteagle in the future, and we are working to put better wording in place that'll keep something like that from happening in the future, certainly along the Main Street corridor. So that is not part of Imagine Monteagle.
I probably
Okay.
should have said something in my report.
What?
Tourism. What we're planning.
Were you talking about the bicycle poker run? Yeah, go ahead.
You want me to talk about it? Can I?
Yeah, this is part 2 of your report.
Sorry. Tourism is trying to have one big event each quarter. And our painting trash cans fell through. So we are planning in conjunction with the Mountain Goat Trail a bicycle poker run on the Mountain Goat Trail. And that means people on bicycles. It's not a race, but you go and you stop at different places and you get cards. And at the end, whoever has the best poker hand wins, and there'll be several prizes. And we're getting different businesses in town to give discounts. We're going to have a card. What are you calling it?
Shop local.
Shop local card to give to all of the participants, trying to encourage them to go, and we're recommending that they go either after it's over at 4 o'clock to the taverns, to Tracy's event, or to Smokehouse Grill for music and dinner. So we're trying to increase business for the event, during the event.
Okay. Any questions, Alderman? Thank you.
Great idea.
Okay, Alderman reports. Dean?
I've got a few things. I guess I'll start with constituent services that have contacted. The most recent one was a lady asking the police department about the radar gun. So for the record, I guess, Chief, can you enlighten us on that?
As far as radars themselves,
Yeah, or the policy, where we are, what you do, and also throw in the body cameras. We've talked about that before, I think.
yes, sir. Okay, so all our radars they're non-operable. Okay, so our plan was we've secured a $20,000 grant, THSO grant. 10,000 of it is going to be for high vis out on the roadway to stop, speeding and things of that nature once you get radars. The other 10 grand was we were going to buy 4 radars with that. Next month I'll have a proposal for you guys to see if we can try to purchase the other 4 or 3 actually, so that every patrol car has an operational radar. So that's going to be a proposal that I write up for next month, and I'll have the actual dollar amounts and the 3 different bids, but I will circle the one that's probably going to be the one that we should go with, because it's got a self-tuning feature set up in it so that you don't have to rely on human error. So sometimes you get these officers that have to go tune their things, and if they don't write it down correctly, it can cause issues down the road. This particular unit, which I will have for you next month, you push a button before you start, then you push another button 6 hours in, because we work 12-hour shifts, and it will self-tune it, and it will calibrate it. It will self-tune it, and it'll send it up to the cloud, of which we will always have that data in case we ever need it for court or whatnot. Does that answer your question? As far as cameras go, ideally, we would like to have every officer to have their own camera, for the reason being, let's say we do the saturation, once we get the radars and we're in town slowing traffic down, well, every officer won't have a radar, a camera. We're sharing them now. So we would need 3 other cameras to make it a complete 8 cameras, set of 8. So.
Are those body cameras or car
They're
mounted?
Those are body cameras. Now we are going to work on, myself and Sergeant Boss and Sergeant Cargon are going to be working on a fairly large grant. Hopefully we can secure that. Hopefully will allow us to get in-car cameras. So we won't have to ask any money from the board or the citizens for that. If we can secure that, then we'll be able to purchase the in-car cameras and things of that nature with that as well. That's going to be a grant that we're going to be able to apply for in the next month or so.
Excuse me, you said Sergeant Voss, that...
I'm sorry, I've got him on my brain, I'm sorry, I apologize. Sergeant Carteron. Apologize.
But you're saying you have only 5 officers have body cameras at this time?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay. And there is a policy in place on the use?
There is. We do have a policy for the use.
And that's accredited by, or run by someone for liability purposes?
Absolutely, 100%. So it's through the Motorola company.
Okay.
They do all the upkeep on the software. Myself and one other, we are the evidence custodians, so we're the only ones that can go in and record or copy and redact any information for that, for attorneys or for FOIA requests and things of that nature. But that is, it is updated quite often. So yes, it's we're held, within the legal parameters.
So you feel like that's a useful tool to protect the officer and as well as the public then? Could that...
Absolutely, sir. It's 100%. Because at the end of the day, I view these every Monday. Every single Monday I go in and I'll look at the cameras. What I'm looking for is to make sure the officers are treating the public, with dignity and courtesy, right? But also is if, let's say, Nate comes in and says, I was wrong, yada, 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 and he writes a statement out, right? And I go back and I look